Good morning to all my dear students, and you all are welcome in class 7 social science. So today again I am here with the geography section. As you can see here, now today I am going to begin chapter number 2, the atmosphere. Okay, so today's class is related to the chapter number 2, atmosphere geography section, unit 1, our environment. So let us begin with this chapter. Yes. Now, do you know, children, that we cannot survive? We can survive 30 days without food. Okay, we all can survive for 30 days without food, 3 days without water, but only 3 minutes without air. So, this way we can say that air is very important for us, and our planet is wrapped by an invisible layer of air. And without this air, temperature conditions on the earth would be like that on the moon only. Because on the moon, what kind of temperature do we have? On the moon, we have days are extremely hot and the nights are bitterly cold. So there would be no living creatures without life sustaining gases. Without those gases, in absence of that, the life will not be possible. So there would be no living creatures without life sustaining gases, food, and water. So as land and water are very important for us, in the same manner, air is also very important for our life. So we cannot exist in the absence of air, we cannot survive in the absence of air, and air is the basic source for our respiratory system. So what is this atmosphere? This atmosphere is a mixture of various gases which surround the earth. Okay, so our atmosphere is a blanket of air, or it is a mixture of various gases which is surrounding our earth. It is known as the atmosphere. Now we cannot feel air when it is calm, but we can feel the air when it is in motion. So the total mass of air surrounding our earth is known as the atmosphere. And along with the gases, we have water vapors also, dust particles also. And these water vapors and dust particles are some significant components of the atmosphere. And all the gases, water vapors, dust particles, they combine together to form the atmosphere. The very important part is that the atmosphere is extending more than 1,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface. It is said that it is extended up to 1,600 kilometers above the Earth's surface. And it is held in place by the force of gravity, by the force of gravitation. So the gravitation force of the Earth holds it around the Earth, holds the atmosphere around the earth. So the force of gravity is very important. So the gravitational force of the earth holds the atmosphere around the earth, and that is why the atmosphere is very dense, very thicker near the earth's surface, and it starts thinning, becoming thinner or lesser away from the earth's surface, and ultimately the atmosphere then it merges into the space, and thus there is no definite boundary between the atmosphere and the space. And just now we have read in the first para only that earth is extending more than 1,000 kilometers. So how much it is? It is believed that the atmosphere earth extends up to a 1,600 kilometer from the surface of the earth. So now let us study about the composition of the various gases in the atmosphere. So the atmosphere is made up of various gases. It is a mixture of several gases, water vapors and dust particles, and also etc. so many other things. So the combination of various gases like nitrogen, then oxygen, then carbon dioxide, argon, carbon, helium, neon, hydrogen, ozone, they all are forming our atmosphere. All these gases are forming our atmosphere. An approximate analysis. Let us do an approximate analysis of all these constituents of the atmosphere. So these all gases are composing our atmosphere. They help in the composition of the atmosphere. So they are also known as the constituents of the atmosphere. So let us see what is the composition and what is the amount of these gases which are present in the atmosphere. So let us talk about first of all about nitrogen. The volume of nitrogen is 78 percentage in the atmosphere, followed by oxygen, which is having 21 percentage volume. Then we have carbon dioxide, which is having 0.03 volume. Then argon 0.93, neon 0.18, helium 0.05, ozone 0.06, and hydrogen 0.05. This I'm going to explain you with the help of the pie chart also. And now let us talk about the one gases one by one. Nitrogen. Okay, let us have some more detailed information about these gases. Nitrogen, its concentration is very higher in the atmosphere, which is about 78 percentage. And if we talk about the accurate volume of the nitrogen, it is 78.08 percentage. And it is found up to a height of 128 kilometer from the earth's surface. And nitrogen is lighter than oxygen and carbon dioxide. And both the plants and animals, they are using this nitrogen. So let us read the more important role of the oxygen, nitrogen. So nitrogen is very important for the survival and many bacteria. Now in this para we are going to read about the most important role of the nitrogen played in the formation of the proteins. So nitrogen is very important for the survival of the for the survival of the plants, animals, and many bacteria they use nitrogen for the fixation. Now nitrogen fixation, what is this nitrogen fixation? Children, now one condition is there that plants cannot take nitrogen directly from the air. The formula of nitrogen is N2, and the nitrogen is very important for the plants. And if any plant is having a shortage or lacking in nitrogen, then we have to add nitrogen containing fertilizers. Okay, so it is an important, nitrogen is an important nutrient for the plants, and therefore we have to see that how they are getting naturally. So nitrogen is made available to the plants by the process of nitrogen fixation. In nitrogen fixation, what do the plants do? They trap the oxygen. Okay, they trap the oxygen. This is atmosphere. Let me show you the diagram. Yes, here. In this diagram, you can see here that the nitrogen is made available to the plants by nitrogen fixation. That is, they trap the nitrogen from the atmosphere. Now, who will do this nitrogen fixation? A bacteria is there which is known as rhizobium. So, a bacteria called rhizobium is present in the roots, okay, of the leguminous plants. Leguminous plants like peas, okay, beans are there, kidney beans are there. So, this bacteria is found in the fine hair of the roots like dal, pulses, roots. Now, what does it do? It fixes nitrogen from the atmosphere. And how the nitrogen is coming into the soil from the atmosphere? Through the process of precipitation, rainfall, lightning. Because plants cannot take the nitrogen directly from the soil, from the air. So then this bacteria, it fixes nitrogen from the atmosphere. And then we can say that plants are having some kind of symbiotic relationship, means both are getting the benefit from each other. And the percentage is 78%. So rhizobium bacteria and the blue-green algae, they both are converting nitrogen into the nitrogen compounds, useful nitrogen compounds. And then our plants, they are using these nitrogen compounds and then they are converting into plant proteins. Then it is converting into plant proteins. That's why we say now that we should have the intake of proteins, because proteins are the vital substances for our body, vital nutrients, and we get the proteins from dal, pulses. That is why we say now that we should have a sufficient amount of intake of dal and pulses. So animals also get the proteins when they feed on plants. Now what happens when the plants and animals die? Then their bodies are decomposed and attacked by the microorganisms and bacteria which is present in the soil. Then what is left after the process of decomposition? Nitrogen waste are left. And these nitrogen wastes again they are coming back in the soil and then they are mixing in the soil. And again it is used by the plants for and also for the crops. So there are again some bacteria who are converting these compounds into nitrogen. And what is nitrogen? Nitrogen is a gas. So in this way nitrogen goes back into the atmosphere, forming the nitrogen cycle. So here you can see a kind of nitrogen cycle is formed with the help of a bacteria. Now why nitrogen cannot be taken directly from the atmosphere? Because nitrogen is a very noble and unreactive gas. It is very unreactive, odorless, colorless gas like neon, argon, krypton, xenon, okay, and the radioactive radon. So these, as nitrogen is a very noble and unreactive gas, it cannot be used by green plants to make the proteins. Therefore, it needs to be converted into nitrate compounds in the soil by the process of nitrogen fixing bacteria, by the bacteria in the soil which are present in the root here, so that plants can use it. So this is the nitrogen cycle, children, which we have read. And now we are going to cover our next topic. Our next topic is about